Hello, and welcome back to the channel. I am thrilled you've joined me today because we are going to have a very honest conversation about a frustrating stage in language learning, the intermediate plateau. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've studied for years. You've mastered the verb tenses. You can listen to this podcast right now and understand nearly every word I say. You are intelligent in English when you are silent. But the moment you have to speak, whether it's in a job interview, a social gathering, or just ordering food, your brain feels like a slow, old computer trying to run a high-speed program. You know the words, but you can't reach them in time. Today, we aren't just going to talk about learning more English. We are going to talk about activating the English you already have. We are going to look at the biology of your brain, the psychology of your fear, and the daily habits that will finally turn you into a fluent speaker. This is a long episode, so get comfortable. Let's dive in. Why your brain freezes. First, let's understand the mechanics. Why is speaking so much harder than listening? When you listen or read, you are using passive processing. Your brain sees a word, matches it to a memory in your memory, and moves on. It's like being a passenger in a car. You just sit back and enjoy the ride. Speaking, however, is active production. It is like being the driver of that car in heavy traffic while trying to read a map and talk on the phone at the same time. Your brain has to formulate a thought, select the appropriate vocabulary, arrange the words in the correct grammatical order. Physicalize the sounds with your mouth and tongue. For many intermediate learners, these 4 steps happen in a linear way, one after the other. This creates a delay. You think, then you translate, then you check the grammar, then you speak. That delay is what causes the in your speech. Fluency happens when these steps become simultaneous. The safe zone versus the growth zone. The second reason you aren't talking perfectly is that you are staying in your safe zone. As an intermediate student, you have a set of go-to words. These are words like good, happy, think, and problem. You use them for everything because they are safe. You know they are correct. However, in your passive library, you have much better words: exceptional, ecstatic, speculate, and complication. But you never use them. Why? Because you are afraid of using them incorrectly. If you never leave your safe zone, your speaking will always stay at a basic level, even if your knowledge is advanced. You have to be willing to sound a little bit weird or make a few mistakes to pull those advanced words from the back of your brain to the front. The engineer and the red pen. I once had a student named Marco, a brilliant civil engineer from Italy. Marco was a perfectionist. Every time he spoke, he was imagining a teacher with a red pen standing behind him, ready to circle his mistakes. During a big presentation in English, Marco was so worried about using the present perfect continuous correctly that he completely lost his train of thought. He stopped talking for 30 seconds. It was a painful silence. After the meeting, his colleague said, "Marco, your slides were perfect, but your silence was confusing. We don't care about your grammar. We care about the bridge you are building." Marco realized that his internal red pen was his biggest enemy. He started a new rule for himself, the 80% rule. He told himself, if I can get 80% of the grammar right, but keep the conversation moving, I am successful. Once he stopped trying to be 100% perfect, his brain stopped freezing. Because he wasn't stressed, his recall actually got faster. Professional strategies to close the gap. If you want to close the gap between understanding and speaking, you need a different kind of practice. Here are 4 pro-level strategies. 1. High-frequency collocations. Stop learning words in isolation. If you learn the word decision, you have to think about which verb goes with it. Is it do a decision, make a decision, take a decision? Instead, learn the collocation, make a decision. If you learn the pair, your brain only has to retrieve 1 block of information instead of 2. This reduces the processing load on your brain significantly. The summary ritual. After you finish a movie or an article, don't just walk away. Spend 3 minutes talking out loud to yourself. Summarize what happened. Use the new words you just heard. The protagonist was facing a dilemma. The author argued that this forces your brain to immediately move information from passive to active. 3. Circumlocution, the escape room skill. What do you do when you forget a word? Most students stop and say, "How do you say?" Native speakers don't do that. We use circumlocution. This means talking around a word. If you forget the word for refrigerator, you say, "the cold box in the kitchen where we keep the milk." If you practice circumlocution, you will never be stuck again. You will always have a way to keep the conversation flowing. 4. Shadowing with emotion. Don't just repeat words like a robot. Copy the emotion of the speaker. If the speaker is angry, be angry. If they are excited, be excited. This connects the English language to the emotional center of your brain, which makes the words much easier to remember during high-stress situations. The musician's secret. Imagine a world-class violinist. Does she think about where her fingers are going during a concert? No. If she had to think about every finger movement, she could never play a fast piece of music. She practices the scales thousands of times so that her fingers know the music, not her brain. This is called automaticity. Your English is the same. You know the grammar in your logical brain, but you haven't moved it to your automatic brain. You need to play your scales. This means repeating common phrases until they come out without a single thought. When "how's it going" becomes as automatic as "hello," you are winning. The psychology of fluency. Finally, we must talk about your identity. Many intermediate learners still see themselves as the student and the native speaker as the authority. This creates an invisible power dynamic that makes you nervous. You need to change your identity. You aren't trying to speak English. You are an English speaker. You are a person using a tool to share an idea. When you focus on the idea and not the language actually becomes easier. We've covered a lot today. We talked about the biology of the brain, the trap of perfectionism, and the daily rituals that will break your plateau. My challenge for you this week is this. Find one advanced word you understand but never use. Use it 3 times this week. Use it in a sentence, use it in an email, or just say it to yourself in the car. The wall between your knowledge and your speech is not made of stone. It's made of habit. And habits can be changed. I believe in your progress. I've seen thousands of students cross this bridge, and you are next. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your hard work, and I will see you in the next episode. I'm Kristen. Keep talking, keep growing. Goodbye for now.